Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let me share my screen. So today we might need to I will need you to do few things before starting with the Angular. We'll start that now. Um, like today will be like what is Angular and what all you need to do to work on Angular. That's what we'll be seeing. And then anything that is needed for Angular, I will be telling that you should install into your system. Okay. So we're starting with Angular first of all. Okay. So basically, you have Visual Studio 2022 installed in your system, no?
Yes.
Okay. So not only that, you need to do to work on Angular. Basically, there are few more um, a few more technologies that you need to install into your system itself to start with Angular. If your system already has that, it's well and good. Else, we have to install it. Everything is free source, so it's not an issue. So first, let's see what is an Angular, and then we'll just go on. See, we have seen like throughout our course, I've been telling that. So, what's the difference between a front end and back end, and why we have moved to a front end back end model, basically. So, until ASP.NET MVC or even .NET Core, if you are using MVC in .NET Core, it is going to behave like a backend application, and all your user interface and everything is in backend. So, even though you have user interface, you develop it in .NET Core itself or ASP.NET or ASP.MVC, we call it as a backend application because everything is in the server side. Okay, so you let's say let's take ASP.NET code. Okay, you have an HTML page and you have an ASPH page and you have an ASPH.cs page. Okay, so this ASPH page we call it as client side, and your CS page we call it as server side, because your ASPH side is the page that loads in the browser, so we call it as client side. And if you had heard, like, easily, people would say that when you want few things like a reload of the screen, like a few things to store data and all, people will ask you to do in the JavaScript in the client side itself, because they say that is faster than going to the server side. Because let's say you want to store a data in your screen itself. Okay, you have an let's say this is your user interface. You want, when you click on a button, you should get all the data from let's say you have some a form. You have all the data, like let's say numbers. When you click on submit button, you should take all the numbers, add it, and display it in another text box. Okay, this is what you want to do. Let's say basically what we will do, when you click on this button, we'll have a button click event, and that event will take all the data from the those text box, add it, and display it to this text box. This is what we usually do, right? This is a server side code. Okay, but there is an alternate of um, client side code. So what I'm saying is, in JavaScript, take all the data from the text box, add it in JavaScript itself, assign the value to the other text box, and this is faster than sending the data to, like, the button click on the server side, because a server side code is like an API. Okay, when you click on the button, the request goes from your client side, that is your browser, to your server. Okay, it is a request. So this request goes to your server. From there, everything happens. Again, the response comes back to the client side. So this is a request and response model, and that will take time. Okay, so that is why we were advised to do in the client side, which is using the JavaScript. But the problem doing in the JavaScript, you cannot code too much of code in the JavaScript. Let's say you have like 120 boxes and you want to take the data and do the addition. Means you are writing code for 120 take the data from 120 boxes and then doing the addition there and doing everything means it will be your page will get heavy. Your page will get heavy and obviously your application will slow down. Okay,
Okay.
so that is the reason that JavaScript, that's the only way that JavaScript also has an technically back off. Okay, one second. Ah, okay, so that is the reason why JavaScript also has many issues. Okay, we were not doing many things in JavaScript. Okay, so okay, now let's. So you know the advantage of JavaScript now. So you can do everything in the client side. That will be faster. Okay, and this was developed, and but JavaScript cannot be used to write fully all the code. You cannot write in JavaScript itself. No, then what is the need of server side for CS? And if you know that, let's say if you know that you want to use a JavaScript to send data to your server side, you know how to do that. There's something called page methods. Okay, you should create method in your server side. Using page methods you should pass data. Okay, the problem here is this will only pass to static method. Okay, and static method you will not be able to assign data to any text any control fields in your cannot assign or cannot work with any control fields in HTML. So that is another issue, no? So your JavaScript has many limitations. Your JavaScript can be lucrative. Okay, very simple. Your JavaScript can be used to help you in many extents, but it cannot do the work mainly. Okay, server side code cannot be replaced by your JavaScript. Even though you can do it, you cannot do that because two things. One, it will get very heavy, and second, it is very, very, very complicated and many things we cannot do. See, I'm saying that I want to pass data to my server side from like there are situations I need to pass data means I cannot then I cannot assign data or do anything with my HTML from there. That's an disadvantage. I cannot do anything. For that, I can directly send to server side and work with server side itself instead of going through JavaScript. Okay, and like this there are many things that you cannot achieve using JavaScript, but JavaScript helps you like on mouse over these kind of things. You can get the function there, you can do that in the client side itself, no? So when this has to be developed, so there was a need for a technology which is like a JavaScript. So you can, so you should do everything the front end itself. Only data should come to your front end and everything should be your client side. That's all. Your data will be your backend and your front end is your uh, UI. Only data from your backend comes to your front end. Even logic you should be able to write in your JavaScript itself, and that is called full stack, and that we usually do using many languages, not only Angular. See, before Angular, people were doing Angular JS, but Angular JS it is a JavaScript only. Okay, we were using ng model there. Okay, and this was not that effective. So people are not using AngularJS as of now. Like this is not of such effective. So after this, people move to Angular. Angular. Why people didn't use AngularJS and move to Angular? Because AngularJS was fully it was like an entirely new technology. Everything was called ng. You need to write everything like ng, new commands, everything. People took time and it was very complicated to understand, and so people didn't want that. People wanted to easily adapt to a front end technology like they were doing JavaScript. See, JavaScript, no, it is not like anyone should learn. It is similar to C sharp, no? So It's like very similar to C sharp. You write a function, open and close. Inside you declare variable. Except what you can declare any variable in your server side. In JavaScript, it's only var. That's all. No, kind of things only people wanted. So Angular was uh, discovered, invented with the first version of 2. Okay, we had 1.5, which is not an effective, but the stable version started with 2. Okay, so how people how full stack was developed was, so with Angular you can write the HTML. Okay, which will be 95% similar to HTML with, we call it as material functions available. Okay, so few additional features of Angular are available. We call it as material um, materials, basically. Okay, so this, the advantage of Angular is it uses JavaScript technology, which means in your HTML code itself you can write a for loop. If for anything you can write. Okay, any logic you can write. It's like, see, even in JavaScript you can write for loop, if and all you can do. In HTML you can't do. Okay, so if you know the evolution of HTML, like in ASP.NET, you can have only HTML and JavaScript. JavaScript we can do for loop, if loop, but in HTML you can't do. To overcome that, we came with ASP.NET MVC, where we were using CSHTML, which is C sharp and HTML. There you can do if loop for loop, but you need to do the binding and all. MVC, no, how you can do it in Vue. And here in Angular it's very, and it's not, this Angular is simpler than the MVC, so that you can easily do everything using Angular material functions. And here for let's say, we are saying that Angular you can do the UI, but also I said that data will only come from your backend. You can write the validations, you can write logics in your front end. Means there should be a place where you should write the logic, no, and that place is called the TypeScript page. Okay, so basically, and we bind here what runs is the TypeScript page. That's all. So if I ask you in a ASP.NET page, which page runs, we will tell the ASPH page will run, and in your ASPH page, in the topic you'll define what is the CS page for that ASPH page. No, code page will, there will be something called a directive. In directive we'll do the code page equal to what is that CS page, that page name we'll give. Here TypeScript page will run, and we here in TypeScript page we'll define the HTML page as your Angular page. We'll define it. Okay, we'll bind it. So your TypeScript page will run, which will get the data from your backend. You can write any validations you want. This TypeScript means it is 99 percentage of I'll say it's 100% C sharp. Only thing is uh, it's very simpler than C sharp. That's all. Here there is no public, private, and if there is let's say in C sharp you have public, private, and all. No, that and all you don't need to use here. Second, if there's a method, you should do a return type and all. No, public string method name. Here there is no need of return type. You can simply, what you can do is you can simply give the function name. Function name, open close. That's all. If you want to return boolean, you return boolean. If you want to return model, you return model. Anything. That's all. That simple is the TypeScript. Okay, it's C sharp, simplified C sharp. Okay. Basically, this is what you also do in JavaScript also.
Yes.
You got it? Any questions? I will little
No.
show you, so you'll get some idea. Okay, I'm just going to show you how it is going, how it is actually. Okay. Okay. See, every we call everything as a component. Okay, which means see in your ASP here you compare everything with your ASP.NET. Do not compare with MVC because MVC is a bit complex than ASP.NET. But ASP.NET is very simple now. You create a page means you create an win form means that win form will have an ASPH and CS page. That's all, no?
Yes.
The same thing here. Everything you should create. See, this folder is a page. Consider this folder is a page like that in ASP.NET. So inside folder I have a CSS, I have HTML, I have TS page. Okay, all three I created. Okay, we should create one by one manually. Here nothing it will be created automatically. You should create manually.
Okay.
CSS page you can write the CSS. HTML page you can write the HTML, and TS page is where you will write your logic. Okay, so TSS in TS page if you come. See, I write something. This is the only thing you should manually write it in all the pages. Okay, you should write this and your export class. Okay, this we will be seeing later, but yeah, I'm saying this is the only thing that you will be writing manually in all the pages. Any TS page you put in, you should write it, and inside you should write what is this selector basically. When you run the code, okay, when you run the page, when you are going to this page, in the URL there should be an page name coming, no, that is this selector. Okay, and what is your HTML page, what is your style page, I am defining it here so it gets binded. That's all. Okay.
Okay.
So here we write all the logics to get the data from your backend. See, if you see, it will be 100% very similar to your coding structure architecture will be very similar to C sharp only. Okay, so rest everything will be seeing one by one. But yeah, I'm seeing the architectural pattern is very similar to C sharp. Okay, so next is okay. So coming to Angular, we will need to know few things that will be components, directives, types, so that we will be seeing one by one. Uh, so I have already told you what is an Angular. Angular is a JavaScript framework based development platform. Okay, basically a JavaScript framework based development platform. Um, an important thing is using the Angular now you can able to create applications like mobile applications and desktop application. It does not create only Windows application, but you can create uh, mobile and Windows. And one more very important thing, this basically does not impact your work, but yeah, Angular. See, let's say you go to your when we were seeing C sharp. I was showing this using system namespace and all. No, so system is a code that is written by Microsoft, and they have added it as a DL into your code. I told you. So that code was written in C sharp itself. No, your system DL was written in C sharp only. No, same way, any code that you develop should be written in some technology. No, your Angular code is written in TypeScript actually. Okay, my Angular was developed using TypeScript. So it now comes with every feature you need to develop a complex and sophisticated web or mobile application. Okay,
Okay.
so coming to Angular versions, very important. Okay, nowadays when you are attending any interview or anything, and if you say that you know Angular, they ask us what version you have experience. Okay, so it started with two, as I said. Okay, so Angular was invented very lately, like 2016, and then from two now it's last year it was 17 was invented. Okay, 17. We have 17 now.
Okay.
Okay, it was invented very late, 2023. So almost November, I think. Stable version is 15. Angular 15 is stable. Okay.
Okay.
Mm, there are many. See, if you go through every version, there will be um, many changes. But I will say why 15. I personally felt 15 was very easier than the previous versions. Okay, so I would say that I only that I'm going to tell you. But if you want, you can just dig about your early Angular versions. And honestly, even like nobody would have worked in all Angular versions. I never worked in Angular 2 to like my first Angular version was Angular 9. I worked. Um, After Angular 9, which itself was a very old technology, so we had to upgrade, and overnight we upgraded to Angular 15. So when Angular 9 to Angular 15, when we transitioned, I felt Angular 15 was very nice. So basically, why Angular 15 was very nice and nice, we say, is because um, so Angular 15 was itself made stable so that your components, we call it as components. Your every page I showed you know that you create three CSS, HTML, and TS page. You know that we call it as all the three as the one we call it as component. Okay, so when you run an Angular page, this component is contacted. See, it's also like an MVC. Okay, in MVC, what it happens first, it goes to a particular page. From there, it goes to a controller action method. No, so this is the way you define the MVC. Same way, your Angular is defined in such a particular way that it also navigates as the use request to go to the particular how it navigates to each page. That Angular uses an internal API, so that is improved a lot. So Angular 15 actually is very fast. Okay, when you click on a page, your page gets loaded so quick. Even though there's lots of data, it is very fast. We said, so officially it was said that the API was very stable. Um, mm, Ah, ng module was removed. See, the use of ng in Angular was removed. That was the very important thing I watched. So we don't need to use any code which has ng. That was actually an headache. Okay. Anything. So anything with ng model and all, very headache. See, coming to Angular, it is not like your backend code. You cannot simply go right click and hit on build. It will build. No, you cannot build Angular code that easily. Okay. So same way, if there is an error, you cannot see the error like that in see when you run a ASP.NET code. If there is an error, you will see that error in your screen itself. No, if there is an exception, your exception will be catched here. No, there is no exception catching in Angular. Okay, no exception catching. You cannot catch an exception itself. Okay, then how will you find an error? So basically, if you do any changes in JavaScript, how will you find that? You go to your inspect element and see that in the console. No, see, right
Yes.
click on this. Let's say I'm going to Amazon. Okay, this is your Angular page. Let's say this is your Angular page, and if there is an error while I click this all deals, basically there is an error. Means your page will not load. Also, your error will also not be seen here. The only way to find the error is you have to go to the inspect element, hit on console. Here you see the error.
Okay.
So Angular is like that. All versions of Angular are like that only. There is no way you can see the error. Maybe you can customize the error. If there is an error, you can simply say that this can be the error, and you can put an error message here. And that also you have to put. It, there is no way that you can catch the error. Okay, so exceptions won't be thrown automatically. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so and one more thing is, if there is an exception, until Angular 14 it was not very clear, it was very technical. Basically it would say that exception 1 2 3 4, and it will say very high level, the stack has an over performed wheel performance something and all. If it says, means how will you know what is the error is, no? And that was simplified in Angular, Angular 17. Okay,
Okay.
so that exception was simplified. uh, mm, and basically you can debug this Angular pages can be debugged directly, so there is no issues. So these are the things in Angular and versions. Okay, any questions on these things?
No.
Okay, basically what you need to know when you want to learn an Angular, there's nothing. I would say C sharp. You should know C sharp entirely, and basic knowledge on JavaScript. Actually, until now, what I was saying, like why JavaScript was used, that you should know basically. Basic knowledge on HTML and CSS. Okay, and you should definitely know Oops. Um, anyways, you should know C sharp. So Oops is basically uh, basics. So so basically we would say that if you know C sharp, Angular is going to be in a piece of cake for a person who knows C sharp. Okay.
Okay.
Mm, second. Mm, wait, just opening something. Okay. So first we'll start with the Angular and we'll see. TypeScript I'm not going to take it separately, but along with Angular itself I'll be telling. So TypeScript is not an different technology for you to learn separately. TypeScript is C sharp. TypeScript is JavaScript actually. Okay, and JavaScript uses the basis of C sharp. Okay, basically it won't have written types and all. You can directly write the functions. Rest everything is same, for loop, if loop. You can use arrays. Uh, you can write very simple. JavaScript does not have list. Same way TypeScript does not have list. Everything will be array for them. It is an array. Okay, it's very simple. We say, and what so then the first question you should ask is, then how would you differentiate array and list? See, array is you can be single dimension. A single array can have 10 data, but I want to have list. List means one list can have array of arrays, no? Correct?
Hmm.
An array can be single dimension or multi-dimension. That's not our problem. Let's say I am saying what's the difference between array and list? An array isn't let's say a single dimension array, but a list can be array of array. And I already have given this solution. So how would you do a list in JavaScript or TypeScript? Is array of array. Very simple. We'll have arrays of array. That's all. Okay. So only that. Other than that, for loop, if loop, while everything is same. C like C sharp. Okay. Mm, so today we'll see. We have seen all the introductions to Angular. Those things we see. We'll see the Angular architecture, and I will give you what all you should do to install Angular in your system. I would like you to install them and keep it ready so that in the next class I will check all the installations and we'll start with creating a page. Okay, we'll create a form and we'll see. Okay,
Okay.
so okay, so Angular architecture. Second. 1 second. Just checking something. Okay. See, so the first big change in Angular over Angular JS, okay, is the components we got. See, the components is the pages that we are going to develop. So I told you, no, a page will have CS, HTML, and TypeScript. That is the component, okay, which is not there in AngularJS. So we let's not go into AngularJS to differentiate them, but yeah, I'm saying in let's say I'm just saying what was there in AngularJS. See, I have not worked in AngularJS. I have seen AngularJS applications. AngularJS, we will not create pages, separate pages in AngularJS. Um, in AngularJS was adopted from MVC only, so it will have controllers. Okay, we have controllers and view. Will pass the data from controller to the view. Okay, same way, but it was using JavaScript everywhere. Okay, so the architecture of Angular application is based on the idea of components. It starts with Angular application starts with top level component called root component. Okay, we then add child components. Okay, so we basically, the root component is what navigates to all the child components, and these child components are your pages. Okay, so your root component navigates to all the child components, and each and every child component is registered in something called modules. Okay, so root component goes to your modules, and all your child components are registered in modules, and from there it goes to the respective child component. Okay, and then let's say it comes to the child component. Okay, from here, if you want to connect to your backend, it goes to something called service. So it hits the service where you create an API request which connects to your backend, and it brings back the data to a child component, and your child component will display. This is your display. So this is the basic workflow that you will be seeing in your mm, Angular. Okay, root component, modules, child component, and service. Okay. So that is the thing. I'll see. Let me see if I missed anything. Uh, that's all. So everything that you should write inside your component that we will be seeing separately. So we call, so that is in the child components. To how to display the Angular. I told you, you should write three things. So basically that style URL or HTML, you should bind the TS page with the Angular and all. I told that we that and all we'll see. Basically we saw the code, but how to write them, why to write them and all we'll see. Okay.
Okay.
Mm, okay, how to install Angular? It's a very important thing. Angular is not Angular is not very same like that I told you. Like backend, you cannot simply use the Angular as you are working on an, like any of the ASP.NET. Just create it and work. No. So how to work with Angular? So how to install Angular? First, you should install Angular CLI. Okay, to install Angular. So which has all the complexities of installing Angular. Okay, before installing this, you should install Node.js from package manager. Okay, okay. Uh, I would say install this way. First, install your Node.js. First, install Node.js. Second, install Angular CLI. Okay. So Node.js, you install it from in your Visual Studio itself in your package manager. Angular CLI, you should install it from web. So it's a free source only. So why Node.js is required is you must install Node.js and to develop Angular application. It influences your influences from Node.js server basically. So Angular use Node.js for its build and development tools. It's basically JavaScript. Influence from JavaScript only. They are using that as an base. So the Angular compiler, for example, if I have to say, the Angular compiler must transpile the TypeScript code into JavaScript. Okay. So to do this into JavaScript, and it has to build it to run and display it in the client. It uses Node.js. Okay.
Okay.
Mm, so Angular uses Node Package Manager to install and manage its dependencies. So you can take it from Node Package Manager. Okay. 1 second. Oh, sorry. You should not install that from your package manager. It's npm install you should do. Okay. So you should do this. 1 second. You should do the command only. I'm giving you the commands that you need to do. Okay. Mm, Here everything is command. You should go to your command prompt and you should run this command. That's all. Okay. Not in your Visual Studio command, but in your normal CMD. Okay. This. Okay.
Okay.
Mm, this is for you to install um, Angular CLI. Okay. So you should do this to install the Angular CLI. This will install the latest version of Angular CLI in your machine. better you run first this one. Check if you already have Angular. Okay, and then mm, we should do this npm install at Angular. Run this, okay? Angular CLI at 6.1.1. This is one version that I have. Okay. Uh, that is one thing. Um, 1 second. Then what else we have to do? Uh, I have to install Node.js. Wait, I'm taking this for Node.js. 1 second. You should do everything in npm only, like basically mm, in a command prompt only. That's the problem in that's the problem in this one. Else you can also download Node.js. You can download Node.js. Yes, this you can do. Do this node dash v. Check if it gives any version, means you already have the node. If doesn't give any version, means just go to your Google browser Node.js, install Node.js. You will get Node.js. Just download it from your into your application. Okay.
Okay.
Just download the Node.js. First, you have to download, yeah, from nodejs.org. There is a website itself called nodejs.org. Okay, org. Sorry. Go there and download the Node.js and run the installation in your system. Okay. After
Okay.
doing that, do the Node.v. Okay. First, before that, also try Node.v, because check if you have the Node.js in your system. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, After downloading Node.js, I want you to do the Angular CLI also. Okay.
Okay.
Install both in your system. Both are free only, so no issues. Install both in your system and let me know if you face any issue in between. Let me know. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So install both of them. We'll start with creating an application in Angular. Okay.
Okay.
Any other question?
No.
Okay, Jignesh. Then we'll see you in next class.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.